Hey everybody, Dog8798 here. This is my review of the entire Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman film series, which which of course which was released from 1989 all the way till 1997 before being rebooted by Christopher Nolan in 2005. I think the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher Batman series is in my opinion, is one of the greatest movie franchises of all time. Gonna start off with the very first one, which was Batman, the 1989 film. 1989 film starring Michael Keaton as Batman and Jack Nicholson as Joker. This movie was awesome. I love the imagery, the gothic city of Gotham City, the action sequences were well done, and I loved the characters. Even the supporting characters who nobody really cares about was good. I loved the character Bob, who you can like say was the Boba Fett of this film, the Joker's henchman, and Jack Nicholson was awesome as Joker. One thing I loved about Jack Nicholson is not only did he look like Joker from the comic, The Killing Joke, they actually, while changing a couple of things, they actually for the most part followed that comic book, and Jack Nicholson's Joker looks exactly like he did in The Killing Joke. And I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I love how he portrays an uncomfortable recluse Bruce Wayne, timid Bruce Wayne. Then when he puts on the Batman suit, he is just this dark, lethal superhero. Like I said, this was just an awesome film to start the franchise. The next film I gotta talk about is the 1992 Batman movie, Batman Returns, starring once again Michael Keaton as Batman, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I keep forgetting the guy who portrays Max Shrek. I think his name was Christopher Walken. I think that was his name. I don't remember the guy who portrays Max Shrek. But anyway, to tell you the truth, I love this movie. I grew up with this movie, but after viewing this movie a couple of more times, I think this movie kind of sucks. It's still an awesome sequel. It continues from where the last one left off, but I think this one kind of sucks. Unlike the last one, I think Tim Burton was given too much creative control in this movie, and I think this movie tried to be bigger than it really was, and a lot of it just didn't make sense, like Penguin wanting to be mayor. But this was still an awesome film. I love Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. In my opinion, she's the best Catwoman of them all. She was awesome as Catwoman. And I love Danny DeVito as this new dark gothic type penguin. And of course, this film had everything the last one had: the dark imagery, the gothic Gotham City, and once again some more badass action fight sequences. The next film, well, after Batman Returns was released, to mixed reviews, and Warner Brothers decided that these films were too dark, and they wanted a more family oriented Batman for kids. So Tim Burton was booted off and regulated to a producer role, and Joel Schumacher was called up front, and he produced Batman Forever, which I think is one of the most awesome Batman movies of all time, and way better than is given credit for. This was released to mixed reviews, and that's pretty much what it is today. Either you like this film or you don't. But I thought this was one of the best Batman films ever, despite the flaws, which are obviously Joker, which are obviously Two-Face, and Riddler. Two-Face, he was more of a Jack. While they left his origin intact, which I loved, and I thought Tommy Lee Jones gave an awesome portrayal as Two-Face. He was more of a Jack Nicholson Joker ripoff than a multi-layered rogue like Two-Face. And Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I loved him as the Riddler. I don't even like the Riddler as much, but I don't even like the Riddler as much. So this really didn't bother me, but he did it. I thought he portrayed an awesome villain, but he didn't really portray the Riddler. He mostly portrayed himself. Jim Carrey mostly played Jim Carrey, and I loved him because Jim Carrey, in my opinion, was funny and is funny. One of the funniest people in movies and one of the funniest comedians of all time. So I still enjoyed his performance. And like I said, I don't care about the Riddler. I don't think he's that interesting. I've never been a fan of the Riddler. Never really been much of a fan of the Two-Face either. I'm a fan of certain incarnations of Two-Face, but never really was a fan. And I love let's get back to the main characters. Batman. I love how even though this film went in a whole new direction, it is still a continuation from Tim Burton's Batman series. And this Batman, he's still dark, but he's more upbeat, he's more light, making one-liners and jokes, and he's a sort of a mentor and father figure to the much younger, reckless, rebellious Dick Grayson, Robin. And I love Robin in this film. Everything about Robin was good except probably his age. Chris O'Donnell, he looks just like Robin, but he was probably too old to be playing Robin. And of course, I love how they had him in the circus, his family getting killed by his family. I love how they had him in the circus like it's supposed to be, unlike in Nolan's films. But of course, only problem I have with this is that they went against the comics. Two-Face is the one to kill Robin's parents instead of a mob boss. I keep forgetting the mob boss's name who killed Robin's parents, but it wasn't Two-Face. But the Two-Face killing his parents worked for this film, and this was an awesome film. I thought the story was good. I love the characters. I love the new colorful comic book world of Gotham. The fight sequences, just like in the last two movies, are awesome. Especially that fight scene with Robin and the Neon Gang, led by Dan the Dragon Wilson. Don the Dragon Wilson from the B movie Blood Fist series. It was just awesome. This was just an awesome film. It's way better than what people give it credit for. Like I said, some people like this film, some people don't. Also, Chase Meridian, she was pretty good too. Even though she was mostly eye candy. This all in all, I thought this was an awesome Batman movie. Now for the last one of the series, Batman and Robin. This is gonna be controversial, but I love this movie too. I thought this was an awesome movie, and in my opinion, it's way better than it's really given credit for. I don't think this is the worst superhero movie of all time. Far from it. And I thought this was an awesome film. Of course, I don't know why, but I heard Val Kilmer left due to creative differences with Joel Schumacher. So George Clooney came up. George Clooney came up in this film. George Clooney got picked to play Batman, and in my opinion, I thought he was an awesome Batman. I thought he was just as good as Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer. He portrayed a different era of Batman. One thing I love about the different Batmans in the Burton Schumacher series is the character development. This Batman is much older, much wiser, and it is finally lighter now because he has a family in Robin and Alfred, and once again he's a mentor to Robin, so he's not as dark and recluse as he used to be, and I wish fans would understand that. Robin, I love his character development in this film. In this film, he is sick of playing second fiddle to Batman. He is sick of playing second fiddle to Batman. He is sick of Batman not trusting him, but Batman doesn't trust him because Robin is recklessness, and his recklessness almost got him killed and puts the team in danger. And of course, Poison Ivy and Freeze. Poison Ivy uses that against them. When they're a team, they're unstoppable and can't be stopped. to get divided, however, they fall. I love the plot in this movie. I also love Poison Ivy. Uma Thurman, in my opinion, was pretty good as Poison Ivy. However, she was too over the top and campy. It was funny, but she was more over the top and campy than she needed to be. Mr. Freeze. I thought Mr. Freeze was awesome. I thought Arnold Schwarzenegger was an awesome Mr. Freeze. First of all, I hate how people bash this villain because of his ice punch. People need to understand that Mr. Freeze, when he first came up, he was a cheesy gimmick villain making ice puns. It wasn't until Bruce Timm in his animated series reimagined him as this dark, tragic anti-hero than a normal cliched bad guy. And while being the and some elements of the tragic anti-hero were still found its way in this movie. I thought Arnold Schwarzenegger was an awesome Freeze. His ice puns were hilarious. His suit, everything. He was intimidating. He was intimidating, imposing, and an awesome antagonist for Batman and Robin. Last bad guy I gotta talk about is Bane, portrayed by the late great Jeep Sweepson. I thought Bane was awesome from this movie, despite being far from his comic books. This was the first introduction I ever got to Bane. I love the look. I love the look of Bane. He looks almost like he did in the comics. He looks almost like he did in the comics. The only thing I don't like is that in this film he's mostly just dumb muscle for Freeze and Poison Ivy instead of a intelligent character who breaks the bat's back. However, he is still intimidating and overpowers both Batman and Robin in several encounters. They had to unhook his tube. Batgirl and Robin had to unhook his tube to beat him. And this was my first introduction of Bane, and this was just an awesome version of Bane. It was like a monster movie. I love the whole transformation sequences. They showed the little man getting pumped with the steroids by the mad scientists. It was just an awesome film. However, the only thing I hate is that they had to use Bane. They could have just used a normal guy and made up a character, and it would have worked just the same in my opinion, and saved Bane for like another movie. I let it slide because Bane is one of my favorite villains, but Bane shouldn't be in a Batman movie in my opinion unless you're gonna like make a lot of them. But I let it slide because Bane is one of my favorite bad guys in the Batman Rogue villain gallery. Well, of course, this film was released to mostly negative reviews. It has I think a 16 or 20% on Rotten Tomatoes today. It was bashed, of course, for the bat nipples and the bat butts on the costume. I, however, like that stuff. I thought these costumes were awesome, and I love how they modeled them after Greek bodies, which is what Schumacher says to defend those costumes used in the movies. I love the close-up shots of the suit-ups. It's cheesy, but it's just awesome and larger than life. And I love and of course I thought the action sequences, just like in the last one, where the action sequences and stunts were pretty damn good, and I love the new neon blue colorful world of Gotham City, and I don't mind the lighter tone. I don't mind if Batman is dark or light, as long as the screenplay and the characters are good. I'm good. And stay true for the most part who the characters actually were. And they did stay true to who Batman and Robin were. Speaking of staying true to the characters, Batgirl, I thought Batgirl was awesome in this film, despite the fact she wasn't Alfred, despite the fact they made her Alfred Nieces, which is not in the cartoons or the comics. But yeah, I thought this was an awesome I thought the Burton Schumacher Batman series was awesome, and it's way better than what people give it credit for. In my opinion, it's way better than Nolan's series. I was going to include Nolan in this, but I decided to split his crap up for another video. The Nolan Batman series review is coming up next. Alright, Doug out.